Hello and welcome to another captaincy video and podcast from Fantasy Football Scout. It's another full round of fixtures and another week with plenty of choice. My name is Joe, and joining me to find the best captaincy options for game week 31 is David. David, how are you?
Yeah, very good. Thanks, Joe. I'm feeling much better than last week. I'm back stronger after I missed out through illness last week. That's what it would have been had it been an FPL flag. I had a cold, very sore throat. It was the first cold I'd had in ages. Everybody seems to get fewer colds these days now that everyone's locked down. It really just knocked me for six. Yeah, like I said, I'm back now. Who I captained last week, I went differently from the grain. I really felt that Rafinha stood a chance of a big haul against Sheffield United, which he, as per usual, threatened to deliver, but did not. I still got a green arrow. I don't know how. I still owned Kane. So I've had a go, a bit of a differential captain last week, so perhaps feeling a little bit stung. I might go more, middle of the road this week, but we'll see. There's plenty of candidates to consider.
Yeah, it could have been worse. When the second Kane goal went in, and then there were more. Newcastle were better than Spurs, but Kane, was definitely on for a hat-trick. Rafinha looked amazing. Luckily, in the captaincy video last week, we did recommend Kane and also recommended Leeds assets. We thought that the likes of Rafinha and Bamford would have joy against Sheffield United. Indeed, Rafinha did. He was excellent, and I enjoyed watching that on a nice Saturday afternoon. Rafinha, what a player. Okay, we move on. Game week 31. Let's start with Manchester City. I've got a picture up Pep up. We're just starting with Pep. What do we do with him? What's going on inside his head? Man City against Leeds looks potentially great. Now, I just did a quick bit of research. I looked at the top four, which is City, Manchester United, Leicester and West Ham at the moment. And Leeds have conceded 16 goals in the 6 games they played against them. That's 2.66 average a game. So there are opportunities for a City player to captain. Should be in the goals. But who's going to start? Who is going to start, David? And who should we captain?
Well, the handy thing is that we had some extensive benchings last time, which I think that is handy. Knowing that basically Gundogan didn't play at all in the most recent match would suggest that he would play the next one. It doesn't always work out that way because we've seen that with Sterling this season. I think he missed a favourable match, so you think, he'll play the next one, and he still didn't play that one either. But I think with Gundogan it's a little bit different. He has been a more important player to Man City this year than he's the top goal scorer, isn't he? So you're not gonna keep him out of the team for longer than you have to, really. So I think Gundogan's going to come back in. I think he stands a good chance of getting something. Of course, if we look at players across the whole league for minutes per expected goal involvement over the last 6 matches, Gundogan is he's within the top. Apologies, sorry, my computer's died now. Oh, right, and now it's back. Okay, sorry. I'll come in on the. Okay. I'll come in on the expected goal involvement again. Apologies for that. You know what's really annoying? My neighbour is now. No, he's what is it? He's using a buzzsaw to chop up bathroom tiles. So I'm assaulted from all sides now.
Yeah. That's fine. I can edit it out.
There he is. All right, I found him. There you go. Cool. Okay. So the handy thing with Gundogan is that I still think he's offering relatively decent underlying statistics that suggest he should be in the captaincy conversation. So over the last 6 matches, he's obviously missed some minutes through rotation. So in the last 6 matches, he's only played 436 minutes, but he's had 7 shots on target, which is the joint 4th best in the whole league. And a lot of the players that are above him have all played more minutes. So his minutes per shot on target is healthy. And as I said, the fact that he's missed the most recent game, I think, is an indication that he would play significant minutes in the next one. People have sort of worried about his position and what impact De Bruyne coming back has had on that. I think against Leeds, I'm not too worried because the way that they, I suppose, bend themselves out of shape in these high-octane games suggests that there will be space for him to press into. And do some damage. So I think he's definitely got to be in the conversation. I also quite like the look of Gabriel Jesus, to be honest. Now, as you say, we don't know who's going to start. I suppose the fact that he started each of the last two in the league suggests that he would be a risk for the next one. Of course, the Champions League match midweek, of course, is always a healthy indicator as well. But in terms of he's started 4 of the last 5 as Jesus, and he's actually got 4 goals across that period. I think we could slowly be seeing him start to fulfill his potential as a reliable fantasy asset, especially when you consider that he knows that, Aguero is very much going to possibly be in the conversation for kind of the farewell tour, right? So Jesus almost has to up his game so that he can still play whilst Aguero is on the farewell tour. And of course, they have played together as well, so there is that possibility. But the stats for Jesus are also really nice. So if we look at the whole Premier League for the last 6 matches for minutes per expected goal involvement, so that we're kind of factoring out some of the minutes there, he's 5th best for that particular stat is Jesus, behind only Harry Kane, Mikel Antonio, Aaron Connolly and Danny Welbeck, who I'm sure are obviously in the captaincy conversation this week. But, in terms of, real assets that we're considering, Jesus is very high. And crucially, among all Man City players, Gabriel Jesus is top for minutes per expected goal involvement over that period. So he's a player I'm sort of possibly thinking about I'm on a wild card. I'm sort of, he's on my radar a little bit. But of course, as you say, how often is he going to start is always a question at the back of people's minds.
In a week where, as we're going to discuss, the captaincy is wide open, really, with some favourable assets having not such great fixtures and opportunities for differentials there. If we think Jesus is start, if he is arrested in the Champions League, for those that are wildcarding and were eyeing up Vardy, well, this could be an opportunity perhaps to get Jesus in. There's a 1-week pump within that wildcard, and then book in that transfer for Vardy the following week, because of course they play West Ham, Leicester. So that's not as favourable for Vardy. And Jesus is a similar price as well. He's actually a little bit cheaper. So that's something to consider there for the captaincy and a bit of strategy if you're wildcarding. I've had a look at City starts since the beginning of the year. So obviously the last 6, Jesus, if he starts, could be a great option there. Gundogan and De Bruyne have to be in the mix, but who's going to start? So let's have a look. This is City starts since January the 1st. So they've actually had more starts than game weeks, if you see what I mean, because there was a lot of double game weeks involving City. So as we can see, it's a bit annoying for the captaincy. Who's going to start? Well, it looks like Diaz and Ederson, as usual, will probably start. Are you going to captain them against Leeds, who are known to be attacking? It's not good for the captaincy. Bernardo Silva is a differential captaincy, I would say, if he is rested in the Champions League. Gundogan, as you say, is also up there for starts. And once again, let's have a look at his minutes in the Champions League. But the fact he got arrested last weekend, that would indicate, I would say he's quite secure. But would you put the armband on him? And then we move down. Cancelo, Rodri, Stones. Were you going to captain them? Mahrez. I think Mahrez is potential captaincy. De Bruyne. I think Sterling has to be in the mix. But once again, I've got this big caveat. Will they start? I'd be happy to have in my team De Bruyne, Mahrez, Bernardo Silva even, Jesus. But are they going to start, and can I captain them? And I don't think I can. So for me, City are out of the captaincy equation. Whatever the minutes. They're not out of the having them in your team equation, but they're not nailed on enough. I mean, am I being a bit too harsh on them?
No, I totally get the decision. The only thing I was just going to add was, I think of the players we mentioned there, I think De Bruyne is perhaps a little bit further down on that chart than we'd expect or hope. Sorry, just because he had the injury right end of him coming back.
Oh yeah.
Because I just wanted to. I mean, I suppose, I don't think it's too obvious to just point out that I think De Bruyne is going to start more games than he won't in the Premier League, because that seems to generally be how Guardiola goes about his Premier League business, and has still given indication of that in some of the quotes that he's done. And just the reason I want to bring up De Bruyne as well is just the matchup he has with Leeds. I think there's a possibility for a big haul there from assists. Because last 6 matches, key passes in the whole Premier League, De Bruyne has 18, That's the joint second best behind only Rafinha. 3 big chances created is the joint third best. So, he's doing well both for the volume of chances created and the quality of chances created. And of course, he's a set piece taker. He doesn't take them all because Mahrez is also involved. But of course, Mahrez could miss the game and then De Bruyne take all the set pieces. And Leeds are still horrible at defending these set piece situations. Now, we've talked about Leeds and how they perform against the bigger teams, and it means they concede a large number of goals against the bigger teams. Anyone looking at most recent defensive stats will see that Leeds are doing better than they were. So last 6 matches, their expected goals conceded is 7.15, which is the 7th best in the league. So that might put people off, but as you say, not all of those last 6 matches were against teams that they would kind of go gung ho for, which we think they could do against Man City. The key thing is really, despite all of that improvement in terms of defending open play situations, like I said, 7th best XGC in the last 6 matches, over that same period, they are the 2nd worst still for conceding chances from set pieces. They conceded 27, only Palace have conceded more with 29. So it means that even if Leeds tighten up and they go for a much more restrictive low block type of setup, which it's not necessarily likely with it being Bielsa, but even if that were to happen, that is not going to stop their susceptibility to set pieces, which of course would massively swing things in favour of Kevin De Bruyne. So it's definitely worth considering that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm on a wild card too. De Bruyne, Mahrez, Gundogan are all in my thoughts to own as a 1 week punt, and if I owned them, I'd want to captain them, but can I captain them? And it's on paper, it's great, but and as we can see, you mentioned about the defences as well. I mentioned Leeds, obviously against kind of the top sides do concede, on average 2.6666 goals. But you mentioned the last 6 matches. I've done the last 4 here on this chart here. So up on the screen, we've got big chances conceded, and Sheffield United are the worst by far, as they were last week, 17. They've conceded 9 goals, expected to have conceded a bit more. So they've been lucky. Burnley also, as we saw with Southampton. And we did say on the Scoutcast last week as well that the Southampton game could have been quite lucrative for those who wanted to punt because of Burnley's poor stats. And once again, Burnley up there. And then you've got Arsenal, Crystal Palace. But then Leeds, you've got to go right the way down, last 4. Big chances conceded just 6. Goals conceded 4. Expected to have conceded, 5 and a bit. So they've been marginally lucky just to concede the 4 there. But yeah, it says to me in terms of, if you're looking this week in isolation, perhaps City against Leeds isn't the best place with the captaincy. And perhaps it should be whoever's playing Sheffield United. And then we've got more problems. So here we go. Here's Arsenal. So I've got last 4 stats up again. Arsenal are playing Sheffield United. But once again, who starts? And what Arsenal are going to turn up? We've just seen them, they've just capitulated defensive-wise against West Ham and Liverpool. But they have goals in them as well. Lacazette, 3 big chances. He's your man. If you think you want him at the captaincy there, he's had 6 shots inside the box, 4 of those in target, last 3. Pepe, Maverick, captaincy choice there, but nevertheless had a couple of big chances and 5 shots inside the box. And then Saka, this is last 4 matches, by the way. All of these stats I put up, unless I say otherwise, the last 4 matches. If these are 4 matches he's played, obviously. He's had 8 shots inside the box, but only 1 of those on target, which would indicate he is priced accordingly as a midfielder who's got some attacking threat. It'll be worth more next season, but you do get what you pay for in terms of the goals, but it would appear. And Aubameyang there, he's a problem, but he's a flat track bully. So yeah, I mean, I think this is the most sensible, but also the least sensible captaincy choice.
Yeah, it's quite a paradox, I think. As just Arsenal generally. For me, I'm going to avoid Arsenal for this game week. The fixture is nice, yes, but I think we both agree. I think that whenever we're assessing a fixture, that we, in principle, we want to try and find a team that has very little going for it, and hopefully looking like a whipping boy. Sheffield United, tick, fine. Playing a team that's in form, that we can trust, both for selection and goals and assists. And I don't really think Arsenal quite tick that as much as we perhaps would like. Now, you've obviously mentioned some of the stats there that are helpful. For me, I thought that they were very, very flat against Liverpool. To be fair, Liverpool, higher quality opposition than Sheffield United. But what they missed in that game was a number of things. They didn't have Smith Rowe. They didn't have Saka. And they didn't have Xhaka either, who I think was a bigger miss than perhaps a lot of people would give him credit for, because they just couldn't get on the ball. Xhaka's the kind of guy that would normally help them do that. Now, against Sheffield United, you'd like to think that they'd probably have a better chance of doing that. But still, if they try and go with a holding midfield pairing of Partey and Ceballos against Norwood, Fleck and Lundstram, which, even though they've not had a very good season, that's still a very busy, bustling midfield. You know, there's a possession battle to win in that game. And I think that if they don't have their best midfield available to help them do that, then I think that counts against their assets. Of course, El Neni came on, and I think, to be honest, he probably should have started the game, in my personal opinion. So maybe El Neni starts this next one if Xhaka's not fit. But either way, Arteta may not have his best, most effective players in terms of conducive for putting Arsenal on the front foot and creating chances if they don't have Smith Rowe, Saka, and possibly maybe Xhaka as well. But they also might not have Kieran Tierney, who I think is not only their best defender, he is one of their most important players going forward. In the games when because he came off injured, obviously, after, I think it was just for half time, I think. In the games that he's missed this season, that has been when I've seen Arsenal at their most flat. So just going back over games that Tierney has missed this season, we all piled in on him, didn't we? Well, I say we, I didn't, but a lot of people did.
Game week
18.
No, 18 was it? 18.
Yeah, 18.
I misremembered.
He didn't play. He didn't play, and then because it was a Palace at home, so you think, whoa, here we go, right? And then of course he didn't play, which he's at risk of not playing this next one. He didn't play. Arsenal was so unadventurous, so boring, because they just couldn't. Because he's such a great player for moving the ball around for them. 0-0, you know. Other games that he missed, there's a 0-0 against United. So between game week 18 and 24, he played once, and the games within that were some of Arsenal's worst performances of the season. So the Palace game at home, a 0-0 with United. Although to be fair, United are very good at getting 0-0s in those games. But then they lost 2-1 at Wolves without Tierney. They lost 1-0 at Villa. So basically, long story short, Arsenal without Tierney, they're nowhere near as good as when they have him. Yeah. So with a number of those flags hanging over these Arsenal players, I don't trust this fixture as much as I would if I knew that Saka, Xhaka, Smith Rowe, Tierney, if they were all fit, I'd be a lot less concerned. But it's a wait and see, isn't it?
Our search for a captain this week continues, because too many caveats, I think, with a lot of these players, depending on your attitude to risk with City. And certainly with Arsenal, without Tierney, perhaps Liverpool could be the place that we look. So they play Villa, so it's not the best of fixtures, but nevertheless, they do appear to have got it a bit sorted in terms of their malaise. They've got actual defenders rather than midfielders pretending to be defenders, and their midfielders are now midfielders. So Fabinho's back in midfield. You've got Phillips and Kabak forming quite a partnership. And what that allows Alexander-Arnold to do what he does, create chances. And the stats I've got up on the screen show the last 4 matches. And so Alexander-Arnold created 11 chances in the last 4 matches. And that is allowing the other guys who I put up on the screen as well, Jota, Mane, Salah and Firmino, to do what they do, which is score goals. Jota's particularly intriguing. Just 2 starts in his last 4, so he's been a sub. 5 shots inside the box, all on target, and 3 goals from that. That's his Vardy-esque stats there. Minutes per goal attempts in the box, 1 every 45 minutes. So he's a couple in each of his per 90. But then Salah and Mane are interesting. Salah in particular looks like resurgent. Perhaps the Golden Boot chase has spurred him on a bit. Perhaps those goals for his country during the international break have also helped him. But 7 shots inside the box, 4 on target out of 12 shots. Lots of shots. Not all of them on target, but there we go. That's what he needs. Volume, huge volume, and he goes and scored a goal from it finally. Mane is intriguing. If for those looking for a differential, 11 shots over the last his four matches. Just the 3 starts though, but he's got a problem on getting on target as well. Bit worse than Salah there. So he is requiring volume as well to do anything. Hasn't scored yet. Could be goals there. I would tentatively put the armband on Salah as a bus captain at the moment. So far, what do you think? Liverpool against Villa, captaincy?
Before I answer the question, I've waited for a stopping point. My kids are just outside the door.
Oh,
I
okay.
need time to be quiet. I'm sorry.
Okay.
1 sec. Sorry.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah. They're just
That's
getting
right.
ready to go out.
Okay.
So what do I think of Liverpool players? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. Liverpool definitely looking a lot better than they were before, and I think the way that they're set up further back, as you say, in defensive midfield, makes a big difference there. Accuracy still concerns me because, yeah, as you say, there's some good stats there, but in terms of converting it on a underlying statistics to points metric, there's still a little bit left, to be desired there. Aston Villa's defence, I think, is capable of giving up chances. They're not as watertight as perhaps people think. Martinez is a big reason why they don't concede as many goals as they should. In the last 6 matches, Villa are slightly more susceptible on the right-hand side. So they conceded 19 chances, which is the joint 5th worst of any right-sided Premier League defence. A little bit annoying because you'd rather that was the other way around, that they were worse on the left-hand side because that's where Salah would be up against. And you don't really, no one's really fancying Mane, I don't think, for this. So it's a tricky one. Who knows what could happen in this game? We had 9 goals the last time these guys played, even though Van Dijk was on the pitch. So, and of course, this could be Grealish's comeback game. Yeah. It could be very open. I think the point is, I couldn't really tell you what the result of this game is going to be because I think both teams have the ability to win this.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, it kind of makes you go, eh.
Once
and then
again,
the second you start going, that's when you go, maybe.
That's when the armband comes off. We're not doing well this episode. Everyone we've got. So yeah, I mean, I say tentatively it's on Salah, but I think I may have to put it elsewhere. But it's not going well. Let's try. Hang on, Chelsea, they're good, aren't they? Well, we thought they were right until Saturday lunchtime. So they were hammered by West Brom, 5-2. So this time they're against Palace. You would hope they would be better. Once again, I've got the last 4 stats up. I've also got a nice picture of Silva being shown a red card, which started the capitulation. So if you were minded to captain a Chelsea attacker in terms of expected goal involvement, I say this with a heavy heart, it's Werner. Are you going to captain? I wouldn't even bet he was going to score, let alone bet he's enough for a captaincy haul. Then you got Alonso. Well, of course, got an assist, but shipped 5 goals. And will he play after that? Mount could be the best, most reliable. When he came on, they looked better, Chelsea, and indeed they always look good with Mount there. And Havertz, we think is the main number 9. Giroud could be in the mix as well. I mean, I say could be, maybe, woulda, shoulda, coulda. There's nothing here that screams captaincy to me. Can we sell a Chelsea asset as a captaincy against Palace?
Well, I mean, I thought you were going to ask the question: can we sell a Chelsea asset?
Yeah,
Maybe. I'd certainly sell Werner.
yeah.
Yeah. I can't see it. You never know who's going to play. I think, and even if Werner does play, you can't back him to put the ball in net, which is a shame because I think he's got a lot of potential. And I just hope he doesn't turn out like a lot of other Chelsea strikers over the last number of years, where they come in with a high reputation and then the lack of confidence lingers and festers for long enough for it to permanently damage them. I just hope he turns it around. But the thing is, when you think about your captaincy, you can't afford to be sentimental. So no way. Next.
Next. Okay, right. Okay. I think this could be the place. Reluctantly, and I've got loads of jazzy pictures up on the screen now. Once again, last 4 matches. So I've got Mourinho looking like he's about to blame everyone but himself as usual. I've also got I've had a look at the Fantasy Football Scout members area comparison tool to have a look at the last 4 matches. This is in pictorial form, and what this does is it sort of summarises the stats as well, gives a percentage to compare each other. And I also got a nice heat map there, and what that shows is that Kane and Fernandes, you could probably captain either of them because they are both much of a muchness in terms of the key stats there, the attacking stats, creating chances. We know that Kane is excelling at chance creation and goal attempts, and Fernandes is still the main man at Manchester United. So yeah, I haven't put another picture up on the screen, but I did strip away as well by sorting Fernandes all away, because of course Fernandes is away to Spurs and Kane all home, and it's even tighter there. So 51% according to the comparison tool, marginally in Fernandes' favour away, which would indicate he is a good option, and 49% for Kane. So once again, they are both strong options. And I've got some stats last 4. Big chances, Kane has had 5, expected to be involved in 5, he's had 5 goals, 3 chances he's created, 11 shots in the box, 8 of those on target. This is good. This is absolutely top Kane stats, and we're seeing the fruition there. And Fernandes, no slouch as well. 3 big chances, expected to be involved in around 2.5 to 3 goals, scored, created 14 chances, and he's had 3 shots inside the box, and 6 on target. So he's shooting from range as well, and of course on penalties, both on penalties. I think this is it. I think it's going to be one of these two for me, because I just think it's the safest. They're going to start, and they're both good. I mean, is that right?
I can understand it. I don't know if I completely share your confidence in, I suppose, either player, both players, or just this match. So I feel like this. I don't want to go out and say this has 0-0 written all over it, because I don't want to raise my head that far above the parapet. But I will very diplomatically say I think there is a chance this could be a 0-0. Just because of the way that United play this season against the bigger teams, and of course Mourinho, right? In the last 6 matches, Man United are actually one of the best defences in the league anyway. So their XGC for the last 6 matches is 5.41. That is the 3rd best in the league. Only Brighton and Chelsea have done better than that. Tottenham's isn't as good. So I suppose if we're talking about who has the better fixture here, arguably Fernandes does, in my opinion, in terms of opposition, quality of opposition. We know Kane could score against Man United. I mean, that's happened before. I mean, of course, Spurs scored 6 against them earlier this season. But, I don't really think we can really rely on that 6-1 game at all now, because I think both teams have changed the way they play since that game. Spurs haven't been the same devastating force as a team since the West Ham game, where they let the 3-goal lead slip. Man United, since that 6-1, have reverted to Operation Nil whenever they play a big team. So since they played Spurs in game week 4, their games against not the top 6 but the big 6, because there is actually now a difference. Leicester and West Ham very nicely shaking that up. But either way, Solskjaer has his idea of what a big 6 is, what a big 6 team is, and it seems to be largely in line with what we all perceive to be a big 6 team. So game week 6, home against Chelsea, 0-0. Then the game week 7, home against Arsenal game, a very tight one. They lost 1-0. All it was an Aubameyang penalty. Of course, as you said, Kane is on those. So, yeah, that maybe comes into conversation. But still, either way, you go along for the rest of them. Man City at home, game week 12, 0-0. Then you've got Chelsea again in game week 26, 0-0. Sorry, I've skipped over Liverpool, game week 19, 0-0. Man City, they won 2-0, but either way, clean sheet. So they've got a very established history of these bigger games playing much more conservatively and trying to go for a draw. Mourinho has made a career off that, right? So, there's a very strong possibility that, and just in terms of the table, like Man United really can afford to draw this, no problem. They're 4 points clear of Leicester. Spurs do kind of need to go for this, but they don't usually. So, as I said, every time you go through a captaincy and then you get to a... then for me, that just makes me think, I don't know. And the more I think about it, the more I'm actually thinking back to, I might be willing to play Pep Roulette, personally. Because
be the week to do it.
Yeah, but because we'll have had some indicators. I think that's the handy thing is we've already had Gundogan get rested for one Premier League game. We might see De Bruyne arrested for a Champions League. I mean, who knows? Really, we'll see. We'll have some evidence to base our decisions off, and yeah, I think I'm willing to take a risk on either De Bruyne or Gundogan in a game that I think will have more goals than this one. And then, I mean, it kind of just maybe depends on where you're sat. So for me, I'm about 340k, which is absolutely nowhere near where I want to be, and that's why I'm starting to already try and go for the most upside explosive decisions. It's why I tried to go Rafinha last week. Of course, it didn't pay off, but going for a Man City player, if you nail it, you take a bit of a risk, and Gundogan starts and scores twice, quid's in. If you do the same with De Bruyne and he gets a hat trick of assists from corners, again, you're going to be very happy with that. So, whereas I feel like Fernandes and Kane could be like 6 or 7 pointers. It could be a 1-1.
Yeah.
And Kane gets an assist and Fernandes gets an assist or something like that. I don't know. It's possibly just my spidey sense.
No. I think your spidey sense is tingling right there, because as we've gone through all of the options, there's massive caveats for all of them. I mean, with Manchester City, obviously it's rotation, but as you said, we will get clues in the Champions League. If Mahrez is out, then you would say he could be a strong possibility for the armband. De Bruyne, Gundogan, Jesus. For me, on my wild card, I have a Lingard shaped space and I have a Salah shaped space, and either one of those could become a Man City player for a week and then revert back to my original choice there for the following week. I don't have any other transfers booked in, and this is the week where I don't have any other options. I mean, I'm reluctantly thinking maybe Salah, maybe Fernandes, maybe Kane. I'm not convinced by any of them, but I might have to go there. But yeah, City. Let's have a look at the fixtures before we go. Let's see. It could be a week to be even more different. So Fulham against Wolves. Any potential captains there? I mean, I guess Neto, but Fulham good defensively, poor in attack.
Yeah, well, Fulham don't tend to concede too many chances, even if they're conceding more goals than they probably should. And I say that very bitterly as someone who's owned Dariola for the last 6 or 7 weeks. Neto, yeah, he looks great. I think he's a fantastic player. Would I captain him against Fulham? No. I'd captain him if he was playing Sheffield United. I'd captain him if he was playing Burnley or Palace. But Fulham, you just never can tell. And Wolves have problems of their own. They're very good second half against West Ham, but I think that's because West Ham didn't have Rice and they didn't have Antonio either, so it was easier for Wolves to kind of dictate play without those two players there. But without Johnny, and Bolly will probably miss the next one as well with COVID. I just don't trust him. I don't trust him. So that why I wouldn't go too near. I was looking at the fixtures and trying to work out some way to really shock everyone at the end of this video.
I hope you're about to say what I was thinking.
We'll find out.
Will you dare say it?
Burnley v Newcastle.
Yes,
right?
You will say it.
There we go.
You will say it.
So, last 6 matches, Newcastle in the bottom 5 for XGC. Chris Wood.
Yes.
Chris Wood. Last 3 matches. 3 goals, 1 assist. Oh, he's back.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go even further. I'm going to go Mate Vidra deep on this. 2 goals and 1 assist in the last 4 for Vidra. 4.8. I mean, and am I going to captain him? Absolutely not. But if you're like, the biggest Burnley fan on the planet, then why not? I'm thinking about owning maybe Vidra on a wild card because his price is quite nice. But either way, the Newcastle game is quite appealing for them. A lot of people were quite surprised to see Burnley score twice against Southampton because typically people see them as a low scoring side. But Wood and Vidra as a strike partnership has been quite effective recently. So
yeah, I was on Twitter yesterday to people asking about strikers, and I was posting some stats up, and that name again, Chris Wood, that man again. And the thing is, Newcastle are bad, particularly away, and Chris Wood is on form. Catch Chris Wood while you can. This could be the week to captain Chris Wood. I'm laughing now, but he's going to come away with a double-digit haul while everyone else blanks. West Ham, Leicester, obviously. You've got Lingard and you've got Iheanacho, Vardy, Maddison. There are options here. It can't be discounted, and I would not begrudge anyone captaining one of these options. But Antonio's out. That may lessen Lingard's appeal.
Yeah, I was just actually writing an article on this on the site actually, which will probably be live by the time this video is live. I hope it will be anyway. The West Ham, second half without Antonio, they didn't have the same presence up top. Now Bowen obviously got a goal. That was largely due to just Lingard's individual skill. Anyone who watched the replay of Bowen's goal will have noticed that Lingard started with the ball on the halfway line, surrounded by like 6 Wolves players, and somehow it still ended up in the back of the net. You can't bank on that happening every time. When West Ham don't have Antonio up front, he offers a fantastic presence that nobody else in that team can do in terms of the way he holds the ball up, bullies the centre-backs, but also the intelligence of his runs are so good. The reason why Lingard got that impressive solo goal, I mean, it feels almost wrong to call it a solo goal because he did a fantastic run. He made a fantastic run himself, Lingard, of course, but the reason he had the space was as Lingard approached the penalty box, Antonio peeled off, pulled a defender away, Lingard went into the space, that's how he scored the goal. Do I trust Bowen to do the same thing? No. And in terms of backing that up with stats, in terms of Lingard was much quieter in the game after Antonio left the pitch. He didn't have a single shot after Antonio went off injured. All his shots on goal in that game occurred before Antonio's injury. So it's worth keeping an eye on the latest there. He might still play, but of course he has a history of hamstring injuries. The latest from David Moyes is that they need to wait and see, but they have to be careful. He said we have to be careful because everybody knows about Antonio's hamstring. So yeah, that's my 2 cents on West Ham and Antonio.
And then just moving down, West Brom against Southampton and Brighton against Everton. Brighton against Everton is tough to call. Brighton's defence is good. Everton away are better, but I don't know what sort of Everton are going to turn up, and Rodriguez is not as potent away, therefore their creativity is less potent away. But it's West Brom Southampton. Now, West Brom will be cock of the walk after their 5 goals. And incidentally, West Brom's women's team also scored 5-2 at the weekend. So there's something weird going on with West Brom. But it's Danny Ings at Southampton. He's back. I think he is a very good outside Maverick captaincy shout. Also, Southampton have a double coming up. Although they have a blank coming up as well. So, yeah. An intriguing option, I think, Danny Ings. That blank might put people off, which might make him an even better captaincy decision. But other than that, I think we've scraped many a barrel for this one.
Yeah.
I can't.
So once we've gone as deep as Vidra, I think it's like time to go home.
I think you're right though about Chris Wood. When you were saying that, I had in my mind, I hope he mentions Chris Wood. Because that Burnley Newcastle, I do, all seriousness, I do think he is a really good captaincy shout this week. But for the brave perhaps. Before we go, just want to mention the members area. We went to the comparison tool this week, but also we went to all our tables and of stats, all Opta driven there. Do have a look on site for details. Also, do press like if you've enjoyed this video and podcast, and remember to subscribe to keep up to date with all our latest videos and podcasts. In the meantime, David, thanks so much for joining me, and good luck with your captaincy decision.
Cheers, Joe, and the same to you.